gather around, because the Fantasy Vulture is in town. My name is Mike Kyle. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 7 seasons. Let's make it 8 in 2021. But enough of me. I'm here for you. Hey, did you know that Michael Thomas only had an 11% target share with Drew Brees throwing him the football this season? That is well below his 25% target share that he had during the 2019 season. Now, in exchange for your fantasy football fact of the day, be sure to hit that like button down below. Really does help out the channel. Look, I don't make the rules over here. But on today's episode of the FV Show, we're going to kind of do a look into the future for year 2 and what's to come for year 2 of the Fantasy Vulture. I want to go through some thoughts on year 1, kind of just talk about what happened there, do some reflecting, and then I also want to talk about my offseason plans. I have a lot of them. I have so many different ideas, and I can't wait to share them with you. So we're all kind of on the same page as to what I think the future of this channel and of this brand is ultimately going to become. So let's just dive right in. However, before we do that, hit that follow button on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. We're going to be talking about social media quite a bit in this video, and something that I'm really looking forward to diving into during year 2. So let's begin, shall we? All right, let's talk about year 1. Year 1 was fun. It was exciting. It was interesting for so many different reasons, mainly because it went along with everything I expected it to be, right? I intentionally started Fantasy Vulture this season. It was an idea that I've had in the back burner for quite a while, since 2016. You can actually find that the Twitter account was created back then, but I didn't go for it until this year, and I felt what better time to do it than during a pandemic when the season's going to be all kinds of crazy as is. And so if shit hits the fan during the actual NFL season, it's fine, because this fantasy season in turn is going to take a nosedive as well. Now, ultimately, it didn't happen that way, and things were pretty great for the most part all year long for the NFL. But just understanding that, hey, like if there was ever a year where you need to kind of fuck around, make mistakes, and really find your footing, this would be the year to do it. And that's why I opted to launch this past season in 2020. Yo, I also want to say this. Yes, this was an idea on the back burner for quite a bit, so I had some preliminary ideas, but for the most part, I kind of put this shit together on the fly, and for how that turned out, I'm really excited and I'm really energized by that. Year 1, over 100 subscribers, so shout out to all of you for hitting that subscribe button and staying around, watching the content, leaving likes, comments on the videos. I really do appreciate that you guys put your trust into me to help your fantasy teams this season so early on. That really is kind of a sigh of relief, honestly. Like, obviously, like with my friends in my group, I am the fantasy guru that they all go to, but to have other people kind of turn to me for their advice during their own leagues and their own teams this year, that was really, really cool. And the fact that it happened so quick was awesome. But yeah, we put this together on the fly. I want to pull this up just to make sure that I got my numbers right. So we put this together on the fly, over 100 subscribers. The videos generally did really well. I think that was also a really big thing that helped me, is I understood I had no expectations for this going in. It was really just kind of well, let's see what happens year 1, and then we can kind of make the assumptions of what we need, the assumptions and the projections for year 2. That being said, we also had a few missed opportunities, I felt like, as well. One of the things that really bothered me, admittedly, was the fact that I feel like I had the formula right during the early parts of the season, specifically weeks 1, 2, and 3, where I was doing game-by-game highlight recaps as well as box score, and then just kind of breaking down the game through the lens of fantasy. That was something that I knew was going to work, and it did. Some of my best videos came from those early weeks because of that, and I ultimately didn't stick with it, mainly just because it was so much time, right? And one of the things that I really wanted to try and do this year was go as hard as possible, trying to create as much content as possible. So that was why I was doing individual game stuff as opposed to the long form content, and the long form content kind of took over during the midway point of the season, just because doing it game by game and trying to do 32 videos essentially in 48, 72 hours, because I would do Friday, I would do Friday game previews, and then by Monday, I needed to get all the game previews done. So I essentially had anywhere between 72 and 96 hours to get 32 videos done on top of working 50 hours a week. It was a lot, and so I felt like it was in the best interest of myself to then just kind of pivot to just, hey, let's just do the long form content, a little bit more traditional, which I don't personally like for a few different reasons, but I still think that there's a way to kind of find a way to kind of hack that system just a little bit. So I felt like that was a missed opportunity because I knew it was going to work early on, and it did, and just it wasn't feasible to continue to try and keep up with. So that was unfortunate. What else here? Live streams. I felt like live streams I should have done more of. Probably introduce something like on Sunday morning just to answer some last minute questions. What else? The other big missed opportunity I felt like that happened this year was social media. I know there were a few accounts that absolutely blew up on on places like TikTok and Twitter and things like that. Which it was one of those things for me where I started doing TikTok content a bit early, pretty much as I started everything back to the All 32 series. I was chopping up some player previews and posting them over there, and they did well. But it just came down to I was focusing so much of my attention onto YouTube specifically because I feel like that is where my content is going to be the best at, where it's going to perform the best. And so, with that being said, also the fact I was trying to cram through, 32 videos in a 30-day span for every single team. And then we all just rolled right into the beginning of the season. And obviously, that takes priority and precedent over everything else, trying to make sure that I get the stats and information that I need for the week ready to go. So I felt like there was definitely some missed opportunities there. I'm working heavily on trying to find ways to make sure that everything maintains a high level of consistency and volume. And that also kind of goes to the website as well. Once the season got rolling, the website really did take a hit as well, ffvulture.com, if you're interested to check out anything over there. Anything else here? The other thing that I just want to talk about for year one, and this does speak to the fact of you kind of just see my content go from this to slowly going down, and that was simply the fact that I didn't fully anticipate the marathon that producing fantasy content would be. Obviously, I know my shit. I feel like I've demonstrated that very frequently during this season. I'm gonna have some videos talking about where I was right and where I was wrong. But I didn't anticipate the marathon that this actually was going to be. And there was actually a week, I want to say it was like week 8 or week 7, where I just had nothing. I just had nothing. I had no energy. And I kind of called it my Shanahan week, where you just randomly rest your starting running back for a week and don't tell anybody. So I had that. But for example, like on God, like since I launched July 17th, in a 6-month span, I did 107 videos. I did 107 videos in a 6-month span. That number should have been higher too. Remember, we went down from doing every single game to then just doing, long form weekly previews and recaps. But like that number should have been so much higher than it was. And even still, like 107 videos in 6 months is fucking massive. Fucking massive. So I'm proud of myself for that. Again, a lot of the content performed really well, so I'm excited there. Just a lot of things going forward for the future. And honestly, though, like just yet again, like year one went as well as I could have expected it to, given what my plan was for the year. And I think that's the really important part. Understanding, hey, like we're gonna just try and find what works. We're gonna test just different content theories. Like that was something that was really interesting for me. Just kind of going through the motions of, all right, let's do this all 32 series where we kind of break down each team. How does that work? Can we nail that format? We did. I love that. So far, it's my favorite thing that I've done this season. And then we went to the individual game previews, and like that worked really well because I liked how if you just needed a game and you needed to get your 6 minutes of should I start Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp in this matchup versus the 49ers, for example, right? Instead of trying to go through an hour-long video, which would actually be great for me if you really want to break it down. I didn't like that. I want you guys to have the accessibility to where, oh, wait, here's the Rams preview that I need. Click it. Bam, you got it. So you're just trying to find ways to kind of hack that system a little bit. One of the things that I really liked that I did was I would record everything all at once. I think I did this for weeks. Let me find this. I think I did this for weeks 12, it looks like. For weeks 12 and 10, where I recorded everything all at once, like just how I would in like an hour-long format, and then I just broke it up after that. So the transitions were a little bit meh, and I tried to do that the best I could. But that was a way that I found I could kind of hack the system just a bit in regards to creating the content that I wanted to make in the most simple amount of time. Because I think that was another thing that I really tried to balance too, with the fact that I work 50 hours a week as is. So trying to figure out how you work 50 hours a week on top of, come home exhausted and just pump out content, like that's hard. That's hard. And again, like, no excuses, because I feel like there were definitely things that I should have and could have done better this year. But that just goes back to the whole marathon. Like, yo, like this thing is a grind. It was a grind. I knew it was going to be, and I handled it the best that I could. But there were just some areas where I felt like I could definitely have improved upon. Let's see here. I feel like that's all I got for year one. Again, just thank you all for just kind of sticking around, watching the content, interacting on social, leaving comments, leaving likes, whatever the case was. You guys made year one what it was, and I cannot thank you enough for that. Um, let's move on to off-season plans here. I got my notes right in front of me here. So off-season plans, I've talked about this on Twitter quite a bit, but I haven't gone into detail, and this is where I want to take the opportunity to do so. Yo, I got so many ideas. I got so many ideas. Off-season content for me is admittedly my favorite. I love just kind of going through the numbers and figuring out who did what last year and calculating projections and all things of that nature. Now that I'm getting more and more into Dynasty, just doing rookie previews and profiles and all the things that come with that as well. IDP content may even become a thing over here on Vulture. Championships are won in the offseason. Let me start there. Um, that doesn't just go for fantasy football. To me, that kind of goes for life. Um, if you work the hardest when nobody else is, that's when you go. That's when you get ahead. That's when you get 2 steps ahead. That's when you get 5 steps ahead. And eventually, you are so far ahead, nobody else can even catch up to you, no matter how hard they work during the regular season. That is like that is straight out of Kobe Bryant. That is straight out of my guy Kobe. Um, so for me, championships are won in the offseason. This is why I spend so much time that I do, typically starting in June traditionally, and now obviously it goes all year long because of this, which I'm really excited about. And so understanding that, hey, during this time in the down months, when it's January, when it's February, March, April, May, before we get to fantasy season, this is when we're going to put our foot in the ground. This is when we're going to go 0 to 100 and just keep the ball and the momentum rolling, because this is where championships are won. And on that note, one of the things I'm exploring the idea of going daily and having daily content over here on YouTube, and subsequently the podcast, the website, and social media. Again, sounds like a lot, and it is. That's why I can't commit to it quite yet. It might be an idea that's better in theory, but let me explain to you how this might work. I'm gonna talk about the idea of kind of streamlining my content process, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about the ways that I was making content. Just recording the hour-long video and then chopping it all up into one thing, or into 16 different things, and uploading 16 different videos. Um, because of the fact that I work my regular job as is, and this is the side gig right now, I need to find a way to streamline my content even further during the off season, right? Because a lot of the off-season content is, breakdowns and reviews of what actually happened last year, analyzing free agency moves, draft picks, all that, all those things, right? And that takes time, right? That takes time to go through, find the numbers, do the research, crunch the numbers, come here, hit record, film, shoot, edit, upload, bam, right? Honestly, sounds like a lot of wasted steps to me, right? So one of the things that I'm really considering doing, and I think it's the way that daily content happens over here, is what if I just show my process of digging through the numbers? So for example, right, we we all know Tyler Lockett had a awful season, but the numbers show that he didn't. The total, should I say, the total numbers say that he didn't, when in reality, on a game by game basis, he did, right? So what if my videos are then a question, right? How good was Tyler Lockett in 2020 actually? Just for example, right? Just very, very basic, generic YouTube video title question right there. So what if that's the question, and I spend the video trying to find the answer, looking for the answer, looking for the solution to that question, right? What actually happened? And so by that, that's my research, that's my video, and everything just gets merged into one. So instead of presenting the argument for you, we're just going to go through the question itself all at once. Like, I'm not going to present the argument, I'm not going to make the case for you. We're just going to go through it all at once. And I think that's really interesting, because you guys can see the way that I think behind the scenes when it comes to this. You guys obviously get the content itself. And it just streamlines the process and makes it really easy, right? Because, for example, it could be I'm recording this on a Monday. I'm recording this on Monday afternoon, actually. But it could be like a Tuesday night, and I come home from work, and I'm just gassed, and I don't want to spend 2 hours diving through Tyler Lockett's individual season and things like that. But I also know I need to get a video out. What if I just do a 30-minute video breaking down Tyler Lockett on the spot? Like, for example, I don't know if I have this pulled up. Will this work? I don't know if this will work or not. I'm going to give you guys a little teaser right now. Let's go here. Lock it. I have no idea if this is going to work, so bear with me. All right, cool. It worked. So, like, for example, this is Tyler Lockett's game log, and we just kind of break it down. All right, so we had 8+ targets in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 7 games. You look at the touchdowns. All right, well, he only had 8 touchdowns on the year, but 6 of them came in 2 different games. And so you look at the numbers here. He had 40 yards, 66, 67, and really just being able to identify and just kind of like go through the stats and what the players actually did. And then we can also then jump over to YouTube and break down some game highlights and just kind of figure out what the answer to whatever the question is. That's something that I'm really, really considering. Can I go back here? Whoops, there we go. So I like that. I like that idea in theory, just trying to figure out and piece together ways to streamline content. So far, peek behind the curtain right now. So far, I have 24 individual video ideas, right? These are like, they aren't series. There's not just individual video ideas. I have 24 of them, all from pretty much all from the 2020 season. Some stuff looking forward to 2021. On top of that, I have 38 rookie profiles that I want to do. 38. That is a ton. And at this point, we're just gonna pull that curtain all the way back. I want to introduce Madden content during the off season, right? I want to do whether it's like my GM or whatever. I haven't played Madden in literally 4 years, but I got the Xbox down here and I'm ready to set that thing up right now. So I want to stream Madden content. Maybe we make that like a Saturday night Twitch thing, right? Where that's like a Twitch exclusive, and all we do is we stream Madden and talk some fantasy over there. I already talked about hitting social media, but just kind of go a little bit further into there. One of the things I'm considering blocking off like 3 different days every single week. One day specifically for Twitter content, the other one specifically for TikTok, the other one specifically for Instagram, and we literally just go. My Christmas present that I got this year, on top of, I paid for part of it. Is the iPad. And let me tell you, the sheer joy that I had of being able to create that Deshaun Watson graphic that I posted on Instagram and Twitter. Again, follow me. Oops, wrong way. Follow me, FF Vulture. I made that graphic in 5 minutes on my iPad, and I was able to export it directly just to wherever I needed to. And that was wonderful. That was a blessing. And just seeing what the iPad can do for me, like, that was the reason why I got it. It was like, the nickname for my iPad is the content machine, because that's the way that I intend to use it, all for social media. So I'm really excited about that, and it's probably my biggest goal for year two is just making sure that social stays on top of where it needs to be, because I think there's a really big avenue and a really big opportunity for me to strike over on those platforms. Another thing I'm considering doing is a late night show. You guys may know Worldwide Wob, excuse me. One of the people who was one of the biggest influences on me. He hosts a late night show, and I'm like, damn, like that'd be super sick to do for fantasy. So if I do go through with it, credit to him. It's something that I think could work really well, and in fact, like this was an idea that I considered way early on during Vulture, because that was just one of those things where it's like, damn man, I don't have a whole lot of time. What if we just spend like 4 days trying to put content together for a late night show that drops on Friday nights or things like that? So like that's on the agenda, trying to figure out if that slides in anywhere that it can for me. And then last but not least, I wanted to do a virtual Super Bowl party, right? Like we're not gonna get the traditional Super Bowl events, Super Bowl uh, activities, parties, whatever it is that we normally would. And I'm not saying I'd go down to the Super Bowl or anything like that, but like I think it'd be really cool. I know Barstool kind of does this, so I would, um like they don't stream the game, but like they stream the face cam of the game, and that's really interesting to me. So like, what if we just do a Super Bowl party, or we do that, or like a Radio Row down at the Super Bowl, where I just try and get some guests on from the industry, and we just shoot the shit about fantasy for 10 minutes with like 15 different people. That's an idea that's really intriguing to me. So these are all just some of my content plans for the off season. And honestly, the way that I think it's going to play out, I mean, just alone right now, I have, let's do that math. I have 62 video ideas just right now. Just right now. So theoretically, if we did daily, that takes us to what? March? That pretty much takes us to March or April. From there, we have April, May, and then June hits, and we're off and running for 2021 full speed. So it's really just about trying to be able to get where I want to go, do the things that I want to do, and not leave any opportunity out on the table. Because I felt like that was the thing that happened for me back in August and September. I was so focused on all 32. I mean, I had a literal list of 15, 20, 25 different video ideas that I wanted to make but couldn't. So not letting that happen again is something that I'm really trying to focus on, just because it's tactics and it's strategies and it's tips and tricks that have worked for me in the past and have helped me become the fantasy champ that I am today. And I want to be able to share those with you guys. So just a ton of stuff in the works right now. Dynasty content's going to be ramping up too. I know my Dynasty League has been nonstop since the end of the season, and it looks like that is not going to slow down anytime soon. I want to break down my rosters, just some things that have happened over in that league. And I think I want to start doing some content with you guys, just kind of analyzing your teams, your dynasty teams, and just kind of figuring out, what moves need to be made for you, or just any kind of Q&As or things like that. And then lastly, I want to wrap it up with this. I know I've been going for 23 minutes now. Yikes! I apologize. Um, I don't know where I stand on this right now, admittedly. But the idea of starting a Patreon is intriguing. Right? My whole goal is to be able to turn this into a full-time gig, and Patreon honestly would be the fastest way to do so. But if I do Patreon, I want to do it right. And that's just something that I'm not sure how feasible it is right now with the limited amount of time that I have. Like, do we just spend the next 2 or 3 years just kind of grinding over here on the interwebs before we launch that, or do we just like have it now, like just to have it in case one of you guys wants to sign up for it? Do I have it I don't know if I have it in front of me. Is it on here? Yes, I have it in front of me here. All right. So I actually had this kind of planned out since September, honestly, September 7th. So one of the reasons why I want to do it is honestly to kind of just take back control. And what I mean by that is, what between YouTube and just different places of ad revenue, like you're kind of under their control. Like for YouTube, for example, you have to hit certain metrics before you're even eligible for that. And with Patreon, it's just like, hey, you know what? People already, want this product or service or whatever. Go ahead and provide it to them, and you're ready to go off the bat. So that's something. So like that's honestly the main reason why I do a Patreon. However, why I don't want to do it is because like like this is still young, like this is still a thing where we're all still trying to figure out what this brand is actually going to become and turn into, and I don't want to jump the gun too early on that. So I'm kind of pulling from opposite directions here, trying to figure out what the best course of action would be. That being said, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what my Patreon would look like, I would have 3 different tiers: a $5 tier, a $10 tier, and a $20 tier. The $5 tier is called the Team Scout. We would launch a Discord. We would have a Discord access. I would have a personal number. If you guys remember that cell phone number that I had way early on in the season, that would be coming back. So you guys would have direct access to me. You guys get like front of the line questions answered. And then something that I call secret info. And that would just be little tips and little stat nuggets that I would find. I'd send those out. Probably very frequently, almost probably once a day or multiple times a week. I would send those to you guys. So that's the Team Scout tier. The $10 tier would be the Analytics Leader, and that's just me sharing all of my data that I have with you guys. One of the things that I do, on average, I pretty much have 3 to 4 spreadsheets, and this was before Vulture. I have 3 or 4 spreadsheets that I make pretty consistently annually during the offseason that just provides a shit ton of data on a ton of different players and kind of breaks down things in a way that makes it easy to understand for me as to who actually performed and who didn't. And also just I have my own fantasy football calculator where if I need to figure out a projection, I just run the numbers on it and it shoots at and it spits out a number. So you guys would have all the access to that on top of everything from the $5 tier. That's called the Analytics Leader. And then last but not least, and this is the thing that I'm super stoked about, honestly, I think this is really, really cool. The $20 tier is called the General Manager. And this would be direct access slash, I should reword that, priority access all season long. Every week we hop on a Zoom call and I help you set your lineup, and then I also give you draft prep, like individual, like just draft prep meetings. So kind of like I'm in your war room in a sense. That's the General Manager tier. I'm really looking for like this, like these ideas are the reasons why I'm so excited about Patreon potentially. And I may have just talked myself into it right now. Obviously, like YouTube content, podcasts, articles, social media, and Twitch streams, those would all be free. But just knowing and understanding what I could do with the Patreon has me really excited. Really, really excited. So hopefully that interests some of you. If not, totally cool. I completely understand. But we're going to see what happens going forward. Again, welcome to year 2. I'm really excited. You guys can see a ton of different things are in the works right now. I actually I was up till 4 in the morning last night. I guess this morning. Just cranking out new thumbnail designs, which you guys saw when you guys clicked this video. Actually, I'll save it. I'll save that for... Do I want to save it? I might use it for this video. If you guys see a different thumbnail, that's why. I want to do. I clearly modified the intro yet again. Was just kind of brainstorming a lot of different ideas and things like that going forward. I'm stoked though. I'm ready to go for year 2. I got my week and a half off, 2 weeks off. It was only supposed to be 1 week, kind of turned into 2. And you guys actually saw part of the new style of content that I'm looking to do with the every head coaching opportunity in the NFL ranked video. If you guys missed that, link will be right up here. Other than that, I think that's all I got. I'm ready to go though. Year 2, it's gonna be fun. One thing I want to create a tag. I had Fly Together, but then I just learned that the Anaheim Ducks use that from the NHL, and I don't like sharing. So I'm gonna need another tag or catchphrase for the year, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this update video, I know I rambled for about 30 minutes here. I do apologize, but hopefully you guys get an understanding as to what's to come, and you guys are just as excited about it as I am. So be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video from me. Daily content, hopefully in the works. Again, I can't commit to it, but we're gonna go as often as possible because I got video ideas that I need to knock out. And with that, I will catch you next time. Peace.